The beacon of unity. The void between planets had never felt so small. Where once the distance between Earth and Mars represented an insurmountable gulf, now it was merely a commuter's inconvenience. Humanity had spread across the solar system with the determined efficiency that characterized our species. Mining operations on Mercury's dark side, the vast orbital habitats of Venus, the sprawling cities of Mars, and research outposts scattered across the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. The expansion hadn't come without cost. For nearly 3 decades, Earth and its colonies had engaged in what historians euphemistically called resource disputes. In reality, they were wars. Brutal, efficient conflicts fought with kinetic weapons and radiation-hardened drones. The most devastating had been the Martian Independence War, which left 12 million dead and ended with the formation of the Martian Republic. For 11 years, an uneasy peace had held. The Terran-Martian Accord, signed in the neutral territory of Ceres, established trade routes, mutual defense pacts, and, most importantly, protocols for resolving disputes without resorting to violence. Captain Alina Novak had been present for the signing, then a junior officer serving as security detail. Now, as commander of the UES Pathfinder, Earth's most advanced deep space vessel, she found herself contemplating that moment as she stared at the anomaly on her view screen. "Distance to object?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tension that had settled across the bridge. "Approximately 3.2 astronomical units beyond Pluto's orbit, Captain," replied her science officer, Dr. William Chen. "It's maintaining position, almost as if it's waiting." The object, if it could be called that, defied conventional description. It shimmered like quicksilver, but remained perfectly stationary relative to the sun. Sensors indicated it was approximately 2 kilometers in diameter, with a density that fluctuated in regular patterns. "Are we receiving any transmissions?" Alina asked. Communications Officer Maya Patel shook her head. "Nothing on standard frequencies, Captain. But there's something. It's like background radiation, but patterned. I think it might be a form of communication we don't understand yet." The discovery of the object had been accidental. A routine survey mission to the Kuiper Belt had detected unusual gravitational readings, and the Pathfinder had been dispatched to investigate. What they found changed humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. They weren't alone. "Captain," Dr. Chen called out, his voice rising with urgency. "The object is changing." On the view screen, the silver sphere began to unfold like a blooming flower, revealing an interior structure of impossible complexity. Geometric patterns shifted and realigned themselves in 3 dimensions, forming what could only be described as a gateway. "All hands to alert status," Alina ordered, her training taking over. "Prepare defensive systems and open a channel to Earth Command." Before Maya could comply, a beam of coherent light shot from the center of the unfolded structure, passing harmlessly through the Pathfinder's hull and projecting a 3-dimensional image above the bridge's central console. The image coalesced into a humanoid figure, tall and slender with 4 arms and skin that shifted between shades of blue and green. "We are the Voidborn," the figure announced in perfect English, its voice resonating with harmonics that made Alina's skin prickle. "We have observed your civilization for many cycles. The time for introduction has come." First contact, Alina thought, a mix of fear and wonder coursing through her. This moment would be remembered throughout human history, assuming there would be humans left to remember it. Over the following months, diplomats and scientists from both Earth and Mars worked tirelessly to establish relations with the Voidborn. The aliens claimed to be representatives of a vast coalition of species spanning several galaxies, united by common interests, and governed by protocols established eons ago. They offered technological insights that accelerated human development by centuries: gravitational manipulation, efficient fusion reactors, medical advances that extended human lifespans. In return, they asked only for cultural exchange and permission to establish outposts within the solar system. Their curiosity about human art, music, and philosophy seemed genuine, and their willingness to share knowledge made them popular among the general population. Only a few voices urged caution, primarily military strategists and seasoned diplomats who noted the careful way the Voidborn avoided certain questions about their history and social structure. Elena Novak was among the skeptics. Now serving as military liaison to the diplomatic court, she found herself increasingly uncomfortable with how readily humanity embraced these alien benefactors. "They're giving us only what they want us to have," she argued during a closed Security Council meeting, 11 months after first contact. "We still know almost nothing about their actual capabilities or intentions." Captain Novak, the Earth's Secretary General, replied, "The Voidborn have helped us solve energy crises, environmental degradation, and provided medical technology that's saving millions of lives. What more proof of goodwill do you need?" "I need to know why," Elena countered. "No advanced civilization gives technology to a less developed one without expecting something in return. That's not cynicism. It's historical fact." The answer came unexpectedly during a routine archaeological expedition to Jupiter's moon Europa. Beneath 3 kilometers of ice, researchers discovered something impossible: an artificial structure predating human civilization by at least 50,000 years. Inside was a beacon, dormant but intact, and inscribed with symbols that linguists eventually deciphered as a warning. "They come as friends. They leave nothing behind." Further excavation revealed evidence of a thriving civilization that had once inhabited Europa, a civilization that had apparently been completely erased. Similar beacons were subsequently found on Mars and Venus, hidden beneath the surface and containing the same warning. The discoveries caused immediate diplomatic tension. When confronted, the Voidborn representatives expressed surprise and concern, suggesting that the beacons must be remnants of conflicts predating their civilization. They offered to help investigate but were politely refused. Human unity, so recently established, began to fracture again. Earth's governments, heavily invested in Voidborn technology and fearful of losing access to it, advocated for continued diplomatic relations with increased caution. Mars, traditionally more isolationist, demanded immediate withdrawal of all Voidborn representatives from the solar system. The standoff lasted precisely 11 years after first contact. On what would later be called the Day of Dissolution, Elena Novak was attending a security briefing at the Lunar Command Center. The topic was increased Voidborn activity near the asteroid belt, where they had established their primary outpost. "Their ships have been moving in and out of the belt at an accelerated rate," the intelligence officer reported. "Sensor readings indicate they're transporting large amounts of material, but we haven't been able to determine what." Elena was about to ask for clarification when all communication systems simultaneously activated. On every screen, in every habitat throughout the solar system, the face of a Voidborn appeared, not the diplomatic representatives humans had grown accustomed to, but a different subspecies with sharper features and eyes that reflected no light. "People of Earth and its colonies," the alien announced, its voice devoid of the harmonics that had made previous communications so pleasant. "Your evolutionary phase has been deemed insufficient for continued independent development. As is our protocol with species that show potential but lack proper guidance, we will now assume direct control of your developmental path. Resistance is discouraged but expected. It will be brief." The message lasted exactly 11 minutes. When it ended, the Lunar Command Center's windows flashed with brilliant light as Earth's moon was struck by concentrated energy beams from previously undetected weapons platforms hidden within the asteroid belt. Similar attacks targeted Mars, Venus, and every major human settlement throughout the solar system. In 11 minutes, humanity's golden age of expansion ended. The war for survival began. The Crucible of Stars. The initial attack devastated human infrastructure. Orbital habitats around Earth and Mars were vaporized. Ground-based defenses, designed primarily to counter threats from other human factions, proved woefully inadequate against weapons that could melt through kilometers of rock. Cities burned, communication networks collapsed, and panic spread as reports of casualties climbed into the hundreds of millions. But humanity did not break. Elena Novak survived the attack on Lunar Command by pure chance. She had been in a deep-level briefing room with reinforced walls when the bombardment began. Emerging into chaos, she found herself the highest-ranking officer among the survivors and immediately took command. "We need to re-establish communications with all remaining military units," she ordered, her voice steady despite the dust and smoke filling the damaged command center. "Priority 1 is determining what assets we still have. Priority 2 is coordination with Mars." Her decisiveness rallied the shell-shocked personnel. Within hours, they had patched together a makeshift communication system using old military frequencies that predated void-borne contact. The picture that emerged was grim but not hopeless. Earth had lost approximately 30% of its population in the initial attack, with another 25% in areas without power, water, or essential services. Mars had fared better due to its predominantly subterranean habitats, losing about 15% of its population. Most importantly, both planets still maintained significant military capabilities. Earth's deep space fleet had been on training exercises beyond Jupiter when the attack came, while Mars' famous Ghost Fleet, vessels officially decommissioned but secretly maintained in case of conflict with Earth, remained intact in underground hangars. 7 days after the attack, representatives from Earth and Mars met in person for the first time since the bombardment. The meeting took place in a hastily constructed bunker beneath the Martian polar ice cap, attended by military leaders and whatever government officials had survived the initial assault. "We propose the immediate formation of a unified command structure," said General Ibrahim Hassan, now the de facto leader of Earth's military. "All human forces, regardless of origin, united under a single strategic direction." "Mars agrees," replied Chancellor Sofia Volkov, her face gaunt from sleepless nights. "The Human Defense Coalition will combine our resources and coordinate all aspects of the resistance. But we need a leader, someone who understands both Earth and Mars, who has military experience but also diplomatic skills." All eyes turned to Elena Novak, whose mixed Earth-Mars heritage and distinguished career made her uniquely qualified. "I accept the responsibility," Elena said simply. "But understand this, we are not fighting to restore what was. That world is gone. We fight for the right to determine our own future, whatever form it takes." The newly formed coalition faced staggering challenges. The Voidborn controlled space beyond Earth orbit, their technologically superior vessels easily outmatching conventional human ships. Their ground forces, biomechanical constructs controlled by a central intelligence, were steadily establishing footholds on Earth's surface, particularly in regions devastated by the initial attack. Elena recognized that conventional warfare would lead to inevitable defeat. Instead, she implemented a three-pronged strategy: reconnaissance, adaptation, and targeted strikes. Reconnaissance teams, small vessels using minimal power signatures, were dispatched throughout the solar system to map voidborne positions and study their technologies. These missions were exceedingly dangerous, with only 1 in 3 ships returning, but they provided crucial intelligence. The information gathered enabled the second phase: adaptation. Under Elena's direction, human scientists and engineers worked relentlessly to reverse engineer captured voidborne technology. Progress was painfully slow at first, but a breakthrough came when researchers discovered that voidborne systems were vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies, a weakness the aliens had never needed to address because no previous species had identified it. This discovery led to the development of disruption fields that could temporarily disable voidborne vessels, allowing for the third phase: targeted strikes. Using small, agile craft equipped with the new disruption technology, human forces began attacking voidborne supply lines and isolated outposts. Each successful mission yielded more technology to study and adapt. The turning point came at the Battle of Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Intelligence had identified it as the location of a major voidborne command center, coordinating their expansion throughout the outer solar system. Elena planned a daring assault, committing nearly half of humanity's remaining military assets to what many considered a suicide mission. The fleet departed from Mars under complete communications blackout, using minimal power to avoid detection until they were within striking distance of Titan. As they approached, they deployed Project Phoenix, humanity's most closely guarded secret weapon. Phoenix wasn't a conventional weapon, but a transmitter broadcasting on the precise frequency that disrupted voidborne communications. Its effect was immediate and devastating. The alien vessels around Titan lost coordination, their movements becoming erratic as the central intelligence controlling them fragmented. "All ships, commence attack," Elena ordered from her flagship, the UES Defiant. Priority targets are their command structure and power systems. The battle lasted 14 hours. Human vessels, though outgunned, utilized swarm tactics developed through centuries of internal conflicts. They attacked in coordinated groups, striking from multiple vectors, retreating before the Voidborn could lock on, then attacking again from a different direction. By the time the last shots were fired, humanity had suffered heavy losses, nearly 60% of the attacking force. But Titan had been secured, and with it, access to the Voidborn command network. What they discovered changed the course of the war. The Voidborn weren't a singular entity, but a collective of different species, unified under a hierarchical structure. The diplomats who had first contacted humanity were merely one caste in a complex social organization. Most importantly, they were far fewer in number than humans had feared. Their power came from technology and the strategic deployment of automated systems rather than overwhelming numbers. Armed with this knowledge, Elena implemented the final phase of her strategy: selective targeting of Voidborn leadership and command nodes. Specialized strike teams, equipped with adapted alien technology, infiltrated key Voidborn facilities throughout the solar system. Rather than attempting to destroy these installations, they focused on disrupting the command protocols that coordinated the alien forces. Without central direction, the Voidborn war machine began to falter. Individual units continued fighting but lacked strategic coordination. Human forces, though vastly outnumbered and outgunned, used their understanding of asymmetric warfare to exploit this weakness. 3 years after the initial attack, humanity achieved what had seemed impossible. The Voidborn retreated. Their remaining ships gathered near the original contact point beyond Pluto's orbit, formed a geometric pattern similar to the one that had first appeared, and vanished into the depths of space. The victory was hard-won. Earth's population had been reduced by nearly half, and vast regions of the planet remained uninhabitable due to Voidborn weapons that continued to affect local environments. Mars had fared better but still bore deep scars from the conflict. The outer colonies were gone completely. Yet amid the devastation, a new human civilization began to emerge, one forged in the crucible of existential threat. The political divisions that had once seemed so important faded as the Human Defense Coalition evolved from a military necessity into a unified government spanning what remained of human territory. Elena Novak, now bearing the rank of admiral, stood before the first assembly of this new government 11 years after the Voidborn retreat. Outside the chamber's windows, the reconstruction of Luna City continued, a symbol of humanity's resilience. The beacons we discovered warned us that they come as friends and leave nothing behind. She began, her voice carrying easily through the hushed chamber. But the species that left those warnings were wrong about one crucial detail. The Voidborn did leave something behind. They left us. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. We have incorporated their technology, studied their tactics, and learned from their mistakes. We understand now that we were not the first species they attempted to subjugate, nor will we be the last. But we may well be the first to successfully drive them back. She gestured toward a holographic display showing the solar system, highlighting the defense network now extending beyond Pluto. This is not the end of our struggle. The Voidborn will return, perhaps in years, perhaps in centuries. When they do, They will find a humanity united and prepared, not just to defend our home, but to take the fight to theirs if necessary. The applause was thunderous, echoing through the chamber and across communication channels to every surviving human settlement. In that moment, despite all they had lost, humanity found a unity of purpose that had eluded them throughout their long, fractious history. Beyond the solar system, in the vast darkness between stars, automated beacons designed by human engineers drifted outward, broadcasting a new message to any civilization that might intercept it. They came as friends. We sent them back as enemies. We stand ready to help you do the same. The peace had lasted 11 years. The 11 minutes that followed nearly destroyed humanity. But what emerged from those ashes was something new. A species tempered by fire, united by adversity, and determined never again to be caught unprepared. Mankind had not just survived. It had evolved.